entered the shadowy forest, my rifle held at the ready. The darkness enveloped me, and I strained my ears to pick up any signs of the lurking, ignited chica. Every snapping twig or rustling leaf made me jump, my senses heightened in the eerie surroundings. I continued to cautiously explore the mysterious forest, every step taken with utmost caution. The shadows seemed to move with every gust of wind, and I constantly found myself turning in all directions, expecting ignited chica to appear at any moment. As I carefully made my way through the maze-like forest, I passed by a few dimly lit path lamps, their weak illumination doing little to repel the darkness that surrounded me. I could feel my heart pounding in my chest, the tension building with every step. I kept my rifle aimed ahead of me, using its laser sight to cut through the darkness. I was fully aware that ignited chica could be lurking in the shadows, ready to pounce at any moment. Every rustling leaf or snapping twig caused me to pause for a moment, my senses on high alert. The thick fog that enveloped the forest made the atmosphere even more eerie and ominous. I could barely see a few feet in front of me, and the sound of my footsteps seemed amplified by the silence of the forest. I constantly found myself whipping my head around, trying to spot any movement in the murky haze. The fact that I hadn't run into ignited chica yet felt strange and unnerving. I had expected the animatronic to make an appearance by now, but there was no sign of her anywhere in the foggy forest. I couldn't shake the feeling that something was amiss, and the prolonged silence was starting to play with my nerves. I raised my rifle slightly and increased the brightness of the flashlight attached to it. The stronger light cut through the thick fog, somewhat illuminating the area in front of me. The improved visibility helped ease the eerie atmosphere, but I remained on high alert for any sign of ignited chica. I increased my pace and began walking with firmer steps, the sound of my boots reverberating through the forest. The noise would hopefully draw out ignited chica if she was hiding somewhere nearby, or at the very least, give me an idea of her location based on the direction the sound was being carried. I turned as I walked, and suddenly spotted ignited chica standing nearby, her figure partially hidden by a tree that stood tall in the surrounding grass. Surprise coursed through me, and I quickly raised my rifle, aiming it in Chica's direction, ready to defend myself if necessary. I studied ignited chica, confusion washing over me as she didn't move. The stillness of the animatronic contrasted with the tension I felt. Was it a trap, or was there something else at play here? I hesitantly looked away from ignited chica momentarily, but when I looked back, she still stood in the same position, her gaze fixated on me. The eerie stillness of her actions sent a chill down my spine, making me wonder if this was some kind of mind game she was playing. As I tentatively stepped closer to ignited chica, I caught a sign of her trembling and taking a small step away from me. Her reaction caught me off guard, and I paused, watching her closely. Something seemed off, and I couldn't help but wonder what was going through the mind of the animatronic. It dawned on me that ignited chica's reaction was due to my military background and the imposing weapon I held. Her fear was evident as she took another step back, intimidated by my presence and the powerful rifle I carried. It was clear that my reputation had preceded me, and Chica knew to be cautious around someone with my training and firepower. Seeing ignited Chica's trepidation gave me a small sense of satisfaction, and a mischievous smile tugged at the corners of my mouth. I started to toy with the idea of messing with the animatronic a little. With a sudden burst of speed, I charged towards ignited Chica with intent. The sight of me running at her seemed to trigger something in the animatronic, and she quickly turned and fled, her movements swift and panicked. The chase through the forest was intense and relentless. I pursued ignited Chica with fervor, determined to take her down. After a grueling 10 minutes of running, I finally saw an opening and fired a barrage of bullets at Chica, causing her to collapse in a heap and power down. A satisfied chuckle escaped my lips as I looked down at the defeated ignited Chica. The thought of ignited Foxy reacting in a similar way to me brought a sly grin to my face. I pondered if the fox was just as afraid of me as Chica was. With ignited Chica dealt with, I made my way back towards the house. The events of the encounter had left me feeling a mix of adrenaline and satisfaction, but I knew that the challenge of confronting ignited Foxy lay ahead. I walked through the back door and climbed the staircase that led to the attic. The ominous silence of the house made me feel uneasy as I ascended the creaking steps. I gripped my rifle tightly, preparing myself for the confrontation with Ignited Foxy, knowing he was waiting for me in the attic. I entered the dimly lit attic, but there was no sign of Ignited Foxy. The absence of the animatronic left me disoriented and on edge, wondering where he could be hiding. I scanned the room with my rifle at the ready, every shadow and corner a potential threat. I began to explore the attic, realizing it was much larger and labyrinthine than I had expected. The intricate layout made it difficult to navigate and search for Ignited Foxy. I moved cautiously, my senses heightened and my rifle at the ready, as I navigated the seemingly endless maze of the attic. I continued to walk down the various corridors that snaked through the attic. Each turn led me further into the labyrinthine space, and the constant twists and turns made it difficult to keep track of where I had been. The shadows cast by the dim light added an air of eeriness to the exploration. As I continued my exploration of the vast attic, I couldn't help but marvel at its size. The thought crossed my mind about who would have an attic like this, unless they had a lot of stuff they needed to store. The labyrinthine nature of the space made my search for Ignited Foxy all the more challenging, as every turn led me deeper into the confusing layout. I turned a corner and suddenly found myself face to face with Ignited Foxy. The animatronic stood in the open space, its eyes fixated on me and its body trembling in fear. The sight of the usually menacing animatronic in this state was a strange contrast to the fierce reputation Ignited Foxy had earned. Seeing Ignited Foxy trembling similarly to Ignited Chica gave me a sense of satisfaction. I couldn't resist the urge to toy with him, just like I had done with Chica. I took a step forward, my rifle still in hand, and watched as Foxy's quivering intensified. I lunged forward and began to chase Ignited Foxy around the vast attic. The animatronic's panicked attempts to escape only fueled my determination to catch him. I pursued him with purpose, enjoying the power dynamic at play. The chase through the labyrinthine attic lasted a good 10 minutes. I relentlessly pursued Ignited Foxy as the animatronic frantically tried to get away from me. It was a game of cat and mouse, with me firmly in control. After 10 minutes of intense back and forth, I saw an opportunity and raised my rifle, aiming directly at Ignited Foxy. Without hesitation, I fired a burst of bullets at the animatronic, causing him to collapse and power down. Having defeated both Ignited Chica and Ignited Foxy in the attic, I couldn't help but feel a sense of accomplishment. I struck a confident military victory pose with my rifle, feeling empowered and satisfied with the skills and training that had helped me conquer these challenges. With Ignited Foxy defeated, I headed back towards the stairs that would take me back to the first floor. The journey through the attic and the confrontations with the animatronic had left me both exhausted and exhilarated. I walked back through the first floor, passing by the old, worn-down sections of the house. My steps echoed through the quiet hallway as I made my way to the door that led to the corridor where the radio was situated. As I prepared to leave the safety of the house, I mentally psyched myself up to make a quick dash to my military-issued armored truck parked outside. The rain was still falling heavily, and I didn't fancy getting drenched. I took a deep breath, and then dashed out of the house, making a mad sprint towards my armored truck waiting in the front yard. The rain pelted me as I ran, the droplets cold and sharp against my skin, but I pushed on, determined to reach my destination as quickly as possible. I reached the truck and swiftly climbed into the driver's seat, grateful to be out of the rain. The interior of the vehicle felt warm and dry in comparison to the elements outside. As I sat there, catching my breath, I took a moment to appreciate the resilience and functionality of military-grade vehicles. I started up the engine of the armored truck, the motor roaring to life with a low rumble. Carefully, I reversed out of the driveway, maneuvering the vehicle with caution in the slippery, rain-slick conditions. Once I had negotiated the reversing maneuver, I turned the truck around and began driving down the dirt path back to the main road. The rain continued to fall, making the journey a bit more challenging, but the powerful truck handled the terrain with ease, its tires gripping the muddy ground. After a careful and focused drive through the rain and mud, I finally reached the main road. The transition from the dirt path to the smoother tarmac of the road was a welcome relief, and I let out a breath I didn't realize I'd been holding. The rain continued pouring down as I drove my armored truck down the main road through the forest. The thick foliage and the intensity of the storm added an extra layer of unease to the journey. Every twist and turn of the road required heightened vigilance and focus, as the limited visibility made it difficult to see potential hazards. As the lightning flashes increased in frequency, I couldn't help but grow more concerned. The possibility of the storm turning into a severe thunderstorm hovered in my mind, and with it came the knowledge that such storms could potentially cause tornadoes. The thought sent a chill down my spine, and I gripped the steering wheel tighter, my eyes scanning the skies above for any signs of a funnel cloud. The wind picked up as the storm intensified, but thankfully, there were no signs of a funnel cloud yet. The strong gusts of wind made the truck sway slightly, and I had to exert extra effort to keep the vehicle on the road. The noise made by the elements lashing against the truck's exterior only added to the tense atmosphere, emphasizing the power of the storm. I knew that one of the potential dangers during a heavy storm was the risk of trees falling across the road. So, I kept my eyes peeled, scanning the surrounding trees for any signs of weakness or instability. Every gust of wind, every creak of a branch made me tense up, ready to react if the unthinkable happened. As I pushed the pedal down, increasing the truck's speed, I mentally prepared myself to react quickly if a tree did happen to fall onto the road. My heart raced as I kept a vigilant watch on the surroundings, my senses on high alert for any sudden obstacles. The tension in the air was palpable, the storm seeming to encroach on us even more as we drove through the forest. As I finally drove the truck out of the thick woods, the open fields came into view. The transformation from the dense forest to the relatively flat and bare area was a relief, offering a sense of respite from the confined and treacherous path. The rain still fell, but the absence of trees lessened the immediate threat of falling obstacles. I navigated the familiar neighborhood, the rain-soaked surroundings taking on an almost ethereal quality in the late hours of the night. As I neared my own house, the feeling of relief washed over me, knowing that soon I would be safely at home, away from the harsh elements. I pulled my truck into the driveway of my house, the headlights briefly illuminating the rain-soaked surroundings. Exhaustion from the long, tense drive began to sink in as I took a moment to appreciate the sight of home. I hurriedly stepped out of the truck and dashed towards my house, keenly aware of the heavy rain falling around me. The thought of being drenched by the wet elements spurred me to move faster, and within a moment, I was safely under the shelter of my porch, away from the downpour outside. As soon as I stepped into my house, I took a deep, relieved breath, feeling the weight of the storm and the challenges it had posed slowly lift from my shoulders. The familiar surroundings of my home provided a sense of comfort and safety, a stark contrast to the wild and unpredictable elements outside. I took out my phone and checked the weather app, curiosity getting the best of me. The radar showed the details of the storm, and I was relieved to find out it was just a very strong thunderstorm. There were no reports of tornado warnings or the likelihood of any tornadoes forming, which made me breathe easier. I made my way upstairs and entered my bedroom, eagerly discarding my military operator uniform. It felt good to get out of the heavy and restricting outfit. I put my rifle and Glock in their designated place before heading to the bathroom to take a much-needed shower. I relished the warmth of the shower, the water cascading over my body, washing away the exhaustion and tension. I stayed in the shower for a good 10 minutes, letting the steam and the heat soothe my weary muscles. Once I was satisfied, I got out, feeling refreshed and ready for bed. I put on a pair of comfortable, long-sleeved pajamas, the soft fabric against my skin a welcome change from my regular uniform. I climbed into the bed, feeling the weight of the day slowly lift off my shoulders. Letting out a yawn, I settled in, ready to embrace the comfort of sleep. As I lay in bed, my thoughts drifted back to the joy of Creation House and the experience I had there. A small, satisfied smile crept across my face as I relived the thrill of tackling the animatronics in a more tactical, military-style way. The opportunity to use my weapons and skills in a different setting had been both exhilarating and entertaining. The sound of the storm raging outside added a certain comfort to the moment. The rain hitting against the windows and the occasional rumble of thunder created a soothing background soundtrack that lulled me into a state of relaxation. I let the sounds wash over me, allowing the peaceful atmosphere to further ease my mind. I felt my eyelids grow heavy as the calming effect of the storm's ambiance began to take hold. The exhaustion from the day's events finally caught up to me, and I surrendered to the call of sleep. I closed my eyes, allowing myself to drift off into the peaceful refuge of dreamland.